Welcome back, folks. It is Jay Furry, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new 60% keyboard by Drop, the Carina. It often gets mistaken as the very popular Tofu board, and we're going to take a look and see if this entry-level keyboard that starts at $120 is going to be fitting right within your budget, or if it just goes well beyond that. Let's get started. Upon arrival, you're going to notice that it's not too much of an extravagant box, just your standard cardboard box, but it does protect everything inside, which is really the most important part of it. You're going to get your hardware, which is your screws and your standoff posts. You're going to get your USB-C cable, which is just a rubberized coated cable, nothing too special. Your PCB, which is 3 or 5 pin capable. You have your acrylic case. You have what I chose is the copper plate. You have aluminum, brass, or copper being the most expensive option. You also have plate mounted stabilizers, which are known to be quite the hassle from Drop. So if you're able to obtain any cherry stabilizers, I definitely recommend that. But with these, we are going to clip them and lube them. And of course, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. And I'll leave a link in the description below for all of the hardware that's used today. And we're going to go full Drop on this. So it's going to be some Holy Pandas that are lubed with 3204. And then we have their MT3 keycap set, which is going to be the black on white. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And this video is not going to be one where I'm going to go ahead and show the assembly of the keyboard itself. I'm just going to time-lapse everything involved. But you can go to Drop's website and you will be able to get detailed instructions on how to assemble it. If this is your first keyboard, keep in mind it's always intimidating when you see everything kind of laid out in front of you. But once you get going, you'll understand that it is super simple and it's going to become quite the addictive hobby. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with completing this. And running through the basics here, we're looking at a 60% layout of 61 keys. It is tray mounted on a hot swappable switch PCB, and so you can run 3 or 5 pin switches. It is fixed at a 6-degree typing angle, so you have no height adjustment. Out of the box, it does weigh 465 grams. Once you add everything with the keycaps and switches of your choosing, you do run right over 900 grams for me. You do have beautiful RGB underneath that is going to be grouped differently than the RGB that is underneath each switch. So you can customize all that, and it does sit on 4 feet at each corner. When you are selecting this on drop.com, it starts at $120 as mentioned in the intro, as that is just the case and components. You do have to buy the plate separately, although it does ship together. That's going to run you between $20, $30, and $40 depending on the material that you do choose. I went with the copper, the $40 option at checkout myself. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a sound test on my setup here. Keep in mind that I am using MT3 profile keycaps and a resin spacebar by Yukio Keys. So obviously the acoustics of these profiles are going to be vastly different than, say, something if you're using a Cherry profile, as I really built this keyboard for typing, not for gaming. MT3 or SA keycap profiles are really not designed for gaming. As you can tell, they're tall and pretty chunky, and so something like a Cherry profile is more ideal for gaming, and this is going to sound terrific for typing, so let's go ahead and get into it. That pinging that you did hear in that sound test, I believe, is coming from a variety of factors, mainly being the construction of the board, as it does have that copper plate, which is going to be more rigid than, say, something like the aluminum plate. It is 1.5 millimeters in thickness, but between that, I did not modify the stabs with a Band-Aid mod or any film. That's going to contribute to that pinging as well. And then also, there is no sound dampener at the bottom, and obviously that kind of defeats the purpose of one of the big selling points of this keyboard is the visuals. If we put a dampener down here or any foam, that's gonna definitely take away from the RGB. Now if I can find some transparent foam, I think I will crack this back open and then put some sort of material in there that's going to dampen that sound but also not take away all of the RGB, because the only foam I do currently have right now is going to be black foam, and that would just completely cover up all of that RGB. And that's part of the fun of this keyboard is its visuals, and so the ping doesn't necessarily bother me, but that might definitely be something that would you. And so when it comes to the acoustics of a keyboard, it's definitely going to be a very subjective matter. Some people like it, some people won't. The PCB is ready to go with any plate mounted switches or your regular 5-pin. So you don't need to worry about having to clip any of your switches. And for those that are watching that are unfamiliar, the bottom of your mechanical switch is going to come in different variations. And so if you're looking at a standard switch, it's going to come in either a 3-pin like this, which is the Holy Panda, or the alpacas here have the 5-pin. Now, if you want to run these and you had a PCB that only had 3 holes, that's not a problem. Just know that you will have to clip off the 2 additional pins for that to fit, but that does not mean that the switch is impacted in any way by any performance. So you can really go any route with this, but it is nice to have a keyboard at this price range with a PCB that's ready to go with 5-pin. One of the coolest aspects about this keyboard is that you're able to hot swap, meaning you don't need to have a soldering iron or anything like that to change your switches. So you're simply just going to pull the keycap off whenever you're ready. We're going to pull this off, and it's just going to simply pop out. And if you want to install a different switch, you're more than welcome to, and you are good to go to rock and roll with a different switch if you have another set. If you've ever used a drop keyboard before, you'll be familiar with QMK. You're able to configure the lighting and presets and macros on the keyboard while you can flash it and configure and save the file to your heart's content. It is not software. The keyboard itself is really good as far as any durability concerns that I might have had with it. With the frosted acrylic and that copper plate on the 4 posts, it does maintain a very sturdy structure. There really is no flexing or anything that I notice. If I push a lot of pressure down on it, it's not wanting to pop up on the other side. I will say during assembly, one thing I do wish is that there was an additional post. You know, the more posts you do have, the more pinging you can get with your typing, but there's 4 posts and it kind of leaves a gap, or at least an area here where I wish there was a 5th, just to have even more of that rigid feel to it. But with the plate, you know, it's not moving or shifting. The screws have not come loose in any way. It is a very well built keyboard. To really close on the Carina, I feel that Drop did do a successful job with this. It does have some small issues that a lot of the veterans will not like, such as the north-facing LEDs on the PCB of the diodes. It does have awful stabs, which I recommend replacing at any level of experience with keyboards. This does have a very good weight to it, and the options of plates is fantastic. The diffusion of the RGB is just beautiful, though. If there is one thing I could change, though, I wish I didn't have to use QMK. I definitely prefer VIA as a better software for customizing my keyboard, but it is Drop. All in all, I think the Carina is a very great board if you're looking for a 60% layout. If you're looking for something like myself that I prefer 65%, the new upcoming new key company's Portico is a fantastic looking board. I've reviewed the Novelkeys NK65 as well. That's also a great board. I feel like the 65% is my bread and butter. If Drop can release this in that size, oh, it would be such a chef's kiss. And I really think that this is a really good board. And aside from some of the really small issues that I do have with it, you can get past that and make this great for gaming or for typing. Just know that, you know, that $120, $140 at the minimum with aluminum plate is going to ring you a lot more if you're looking for any premium switches, any premium keycaps. But honestly, that goes for any keyboard in this hobby. It always starts small, and next thing you know, you're remortgaging your house. But other than that, I'm Jafer. I do appreciate you guys watching this video with me today. And hey, if you liked it, please throw a like. And if you're looking for more content or you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate a subscription. But until next time, you guys have a good one out there and stay safe.